guess who's wrote another silly blog post? It's Transformed Wife. This time she's back at it with a post titled "Men have made it so we think we don't need them," in which she claims that women definitely need men. We cannot possibly ever be independent or function without them, and feminism is lying to you. I have a lot of opinions about this, so we're just going to read through her blog post and then have a little chat about it. So she begins with a fun little story. If a woman wants a steak, she drives to the store in her car that men have invented and built, goes into the store that men have built, with the money she has earned, and buys a steak. The steak was from a cow on a farm that most likely a man had run. Then a man slaughtered the cow and cut it up, ready to be sold. Then a man drove the semi-truck to the store. Then she goes home and flips on a switch to turn all the lights and air conditioning on, all things that were invented and built by men. This is the same for almost everything else that she will use. Our homes were built by men. The factories where our clothing is made was built by men, and so were the machines that made the clothing. Hell of a lot of assumptions there, like a lot. And you know, what about all the women who work on farms? The female engineers, I actually know quite a few of those, so, you know, they definitely exist. What about the female truck drivers, and the female electricians, and the female builders? Because they're out there. Yes, some professions are male-dominated, and some are female-dominated, but there are always exceptions. A big mistake that Laurie is making here, and that she continues to make throughout the article, is that she thinks that to build a house you need a man. You don't. You need a builder. Yes, most builders are male, but that doesn't mean that you need a man. You need someone with the skills of a builder, with the strength to move the stuff around. You need someone with that training, not necessarily someone with a penis. I'm just going to throw this out there now as well. I am, in this video, going to be equating, like, gender and genitals. That's not a transphobic thing on my part. That's a kind of continuation and criticism of Laurie's ideas that sex and gender are the same, and that, you know, only men have penises and so on. So that's not my opinions, but I'm going to be basing my comments on Laurie's opinions, if that makes sense. I just want to make that clear, because I've not emphasised that in the past, and then some people have taken it the wrong way, and you know what I mean. I just want to try and be clear with you guys. Anyway, my point is, what Laurie should be saying is more like, if a person wants a steak, then they drive to the store in a car designed and built by engineers. The steak was from a cow on a farm run by farmers. The cow was slaughtered at an abattoir and cut up and sold by a butcher. It's about skills and professions, not gender. You don't need a penis to cut up a cow. You need knives. And she completely glosses over all the amazing women who were pioneers in fields that, even now, are still dominated predominantly by men. Speaking of strong women, here's one, aren't you, babe? Oh, I've got the strongest woman I know on my knee. Look at my little Kyrouac. She's probably making piggy noises into the mic, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, my piggy. I love you, girl. I love you. I do. She never normally comes up here when I'm filming, because she doesn't... Well, she loves to sit on my knee, but she doesn't really like it on the little pink chair that I'm on, because it's quite high. Good girl, aren't you? Yeah. I love you. I know, I love you too. This is where she licks all my makeup off, don't you, babe? Yeah, you do. Anyway, back to the topic. She's also completely ignoring all the women who are pioneers in fields that are predominantly male-dominated. Take computer programming, right? Because lots of men work in that field now, but we wouldn't be where we are today without incredible people like Ada Lovelace, who had just the most amazing mind and passion for mathematics, and she made such an impact on, you know, computer programming and computer algorithms. I bet Laurie doesn't make a big deal of, you know, thanking all women and saying what great stuff women do every time she opens up her computer to write a blog post. Because she's got people like Ada Lovelace to thank for that, but you don't see her doing that, do you? Anyway, her article continues. Men have made it so good for women that women think they don't need them any longer. They can leave their homes all day, work for a boss, and get a paycheck. They are strong, independent, and freed from needing a man in their lives. Most mothers are teaching their daughters that they don't need men. While most of this is true, I don't like her first sentence here. I think that's wrong. Men haven't made it so good for women that we can do all that stuff. Society has made it so good for women that we can do all that stuff. And honestly, I'm only talking about certain Western cultures. There's a lot of places in the world that still have a hell of a long way to go. I also think Laurie is, I don't know if it's like an ignorant misunderstanding or a willful misunderstanding, but she's definitely misunderstanding the whole thing when feminists say, you know, women don't need men. They do not mean men are useless. They do not mean men will never have to play a part in your life. They do not mean men never have and never will do anything good for you. That's not what it means at all. What they do mean is that once upon a time, In a lot of societies, women were seen as nothing more than a commodity to be sold or given or gifted or taken by men. Women were to be used, we were to pump out babies, we were to be a bit of eye candy on the arm, nothing more than any of that. Women weren't encouraged to be individuals, they weren't encouraged to be educated, to have careers, to have their own lives. They weren't seen as individuals. If you were unmarried, you weren't respected. If you didn't pump out babies, you were seen as broken or damaged. Women weren't treated as humans. Women were treated as lesser. Women were seen as nothing more than an extension of men. In those cases, women needed men, and women needed a specific man for providing them with shelter and food and clothes and just to be able to survive. Whether that man was a husband or a father or a brother or some other male family member, the point is women needed a man, otherwise they were screwed. They were out on the streets, and probably the best they could do was turn to prostitution. And again, they needed men to earn any money that way, so yeah. These days, however, and thanks to feminism, women are acknowledged to be individuals. In Western societies, at least, we're given equal access to education and job opportunities, and we are treated as equal to men. We can choose if and who we want to marry, we can choose if and when we have babies, we can stay single and support ourselves, financially and emotionally, or we can get married if we want, or we can date around if we want. We can live a happy, fulfilled life without having to rely on a husband or a father or a brother or another single male to look after us and provide for us. We can provide for ourselves. That's what feminists mean when they say women don't need men. It's not we don't need men at all. It's not society could function without men. It's just simply a woman doesn't need an individual man to look after her anymore. And when Debbie assumes otherwise, she's completely wrong and creating a straw man out of feminists' arguments and views and whatever. Of course, society as a whole is always going to need men, just as society as a whole is always going to need women. Just in general, people are in a much better position when we stop holding people back based on arbitrary values like gender or race or whatever. We're in a much better position, and society becomes a lot stronger and functions a lot better when we start encouraging all people to follow their strengths and their passions and building up individuals and celebrating each other that way, instead of saying, well, you were born with a penis, so you can't do this, this, or this, or you were born with a vagina, so you must do this, this, and this. Back to the article, and Laurie says, the one power that women actually have over men is sex. Men want sex, and women will give it to them if they want to give it. In past generations before birth control, it wasn't nearly as easy for women to wield power over men in the area of sex. If they had sex, there was a strong likelihood they would get pregnant, and getting pregnant out of wedlock was seen as a shameful thing. Women used to be more careful about having sex with men before marriage. Now they no longer have to be because of the availability of birth control which men created for them, and abortion. And then there's some anti-abortion stuff as well about women coming up with one of the abortion methods. I don't even know what to say about this at this point. Like, does Laurie know that sex is a two-way thing to be enjoyed by both parties, or does she just think it's this, bargaining tool? There's so much wrong with this, in that sex isn't just transactional. It's definitely not the only thing women have over men, and then using the word power for it just seems ridiculous. It's just, there's a lot there. I'm just going to move on to the next bit. She goes on and said, you will most likely see women commenting on this post about all of the amazing achievements of women. Therefore, men really aren't that great, nor have they made our lives better. Ignore them. Couple of things here. One, no rational person is going to say, men aren't all that great. Men haven't done anything for us. Oh, boo, men. No one's going to say that. That's stupid. No one rational or logical, no decent human being is going to make that argument. Secondly, pointing out the fantastic achievements of women does not detract from the fantastic achievements of men. Pointing out that there have been amazing successful women does not negate the fact that there are amazing successful men out there as well. We can talk about both, that's okay. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And thirdly, no, don't just ignore anyone. I hate that, where she's just like, oh, they don't agree with me, so ignore them. No, don't do that. How about you listen to people who have an opposing view to you? You critically think about what they have to say, and then you evaluate your own opinions and express that if you want to. I mean, clearly this isn't what Laurie does. Clearly she'd just rather stick her head in the sand and let men make decisions for her. But I'm not going to be like that, and I don't encourage anyone else to be like that either. It gets worse, right? She goes on and says, yes, women have invented a few things, but they are minuscule in comparison to what men have invented and built. Feminists don't want to admit this. Many of them truly seem to despise men. They made the term patriarch to be a horrible word, as if men, as leaders of families and nations, was a horrible thing. They think they can do better than men. Kind of getting into this now, aren't I? But seriously, Laurie, stop strawmanning feminism, please. It's ridiculous. You're making yourself look ignorant, and you're just undermining any point you might have had in here at all. I can't believe I even have to say this, but women have made more than a minuscule contribution to society and to science and to everything. Some examples for you. We have the likes of Ada Lovelace and Grace Hopper to thank for computer algorithms and computer programming, and therefore most of the modern conveniences we have today related around computers. Laurie wouldn't be able to blog without them, I wouldn't be able to vlog without them, or, we'd be set back a hell of a long way without women. That's not a minor contribution. We have biologists like Anne Tsukamoto to thank for advances in stem cell research and cancer treatments. Chemists like Stephanie Kwolek to thank for, she created this lightweight fibre material that's now used in so many household objects, but also bulletproof vests. Other things women have invented and been a huge part of: fire escapes, life rafts, CCTV, syringes, refrigerators, dishwashers, Wi-Fi and GPS. None of these would be here and possible without women, or if they were, we'd probably still be behind decades on certain things. My point is their contributions aren't minuscule. But the other thing I want to say is that the incredible work of these women does in no way detract from the incredible work of men. And similarly, just because some fields have more men in them than women, that doesn't detract from the incredible work that women have done. Society's where it's at today, and we have so many incredible things and so many incredible inventions, and medicine is in a really great place and it's continuing to get better. We know so much because of the work that men and women have done together. It's incredible individuals that have got us to where we are. Not penises, not vaginas, individuals being amazing and passionate and thoughtful and intelligent. Moving on to some of her other comments, some radical feminists may claim to be men-hating or hate men or whatever, but these are the minority of feminists, and those views do, I think, deserve to be criticised and pulled apart and, spoken about and whatever. I don't think they're right. However, the majority of feminists aren't like that. The majority of feminists don't hate men. And to assume we all do is, again, it's kind of strawmanning. Acknowledging the achievements of women and wanting to be independent of a man does not mean you hate men. Not even a little bit. Similarly, no one rational thinks that the word patriarch is an inherently bad thing. It's just a descriptive word, much in the same vein as matriarch. The term patriarchy, however, is probably a little more complex. I don't go into too much detail here because there's a hell of a lot we could talk about and it's not simple. But I think the majority of people would argue that in itself, a patriarchy is not an objectively bad thing. However, a lot of the patriarchies that we've seen and witnessed have actively tried to suppress the rights and voices of women. And I think we can all agree that actively oppressing an entire gender is a bad thing. Like I say, it's complex, there's a lot to it, but Laurie's wrong, is my point. She's oversimplifying and getting it wrong and... As for her last comment about they think they can do better than men, can we please stop making this some kind of pathetic competition between men and women already? It's old, it's boring, no one cares anymore. It's not a gender versus gender thing. Life should be about people doing awesome things, individuals doing awesome things, achievements being celebrated, people working together to do awesome things. Someone comes up with an idea, someone comes up with another idea, someone puts them together and makes them amazing and even better, and suddenly we have amazing things. That's what life should be about. It's not men versus women. It's not men need women to do this. It's not women need men to do this. Why does everything have to be a competition? Why can't we just be people doing people things? Wanting equality of genders, wanting to be treated as an individual regardless of your gender, wanting to have the same opportunities as anyone else regardless of your gender or sex. It's not a matter of thinking, my gender's better than theirs. It's not that. And I can't believe this stuff even has to be said anymore in 2019. It's ridiculous. So Laurie goes on and says, well, I can tell you I am thankful I have a man. Very, very thankful. I have been able to be home full-time for almost 34 years. I was able to be the one home to raise my children because he works so hard to provide for us. I am thankful my children have a father in their lives who helped me raise our children. I am thankful my sons have a father who spent hours playing ball with them, and that all 4 of my children have a father who loved them deeply and spent countless hours talking to them about everything. I am thankful to have a man who fixes things I can't, carries things that are too heavy for me, and takes care of me in numerous ways. I'm not sure I want to hear about how he takes care of you, Laurie, but, you know. No, but seriously, that's good, that's great, I'm happy for you. I'm so happy that you're happy. But just because you like all that stuff, it doesn't mean it's right for everyone. Just because you like that stuff doesn't mean I'll like that stuff. Doesn't mean the person who lives across the hall from me is going to like that stuff. I could do my own version of this, where I'm like, I'm thankful, very, very thankful that I have a job that I love and I'm passionate about, and that I don't have to rely on anyone else for money or food or shelter. I'm thankful that as a kid, my mum was able to go out to work and support us, and even though she didn't earn a lot, she looked after us all and made sure we were all clothed and fed, always had a roof over our heads, and she did an amazing job of that. I'm thankful that my dad was the one who was able to stay home and look after me and cook for me after school, and we'd sit for hours while my mum was at work and watch like crime dramas on TV. I'm grateful for that. I'm thankful that I'm strong enough and smart enough and resourceful enough to do pretty much everything around the house that I need to by myself. I'm thankful that I enjoy building furniture and I can do that by myself. And when something is too big or too heavy or too much for me, I'm thankful that I have an amazing group of friends of all genders who can step up and help me out. See, I can do my own version of that too, but so what? It doesn't matter. I'm happy with my life, Laurie's happy with her life, other people are probably happy with their life, and I'd hate to be in Laurie's position, probably as much as she'd hate to be in mine. I just don't get why she acts like any life other than hers is to be criticised or pitied, because it's not. People enjoy different things, people want different things, and this is more than okay. There's no one way to live your life, and there's no one way that's objectively better than another. Although I do actually feel really sorry for her for what she says next, because she writes, "I can't imagine ever thinking that I didn't need a man. I always wanted a man. I never fell for the feminist agenda." Now, this isn't a feminist thing or a gender thing, but can you imagine spending your entire 60-plus year life waiting to be reliant on someone, and then being reliant on someone, and then trying to push that agenda on everyone else? Can you imagine being Laurie and like, what if her husband just drops dead? Like, I sincerely hope he doesn't. But what if he does and she's just left on her own? She's not going to know how to cope. She's not going to know how to look after herself, either financially or emotionally or just physically. Although I guess that's probably why she has so many kids, so she doesn't ever have to face being alone. It's just the whole, I can't imagine ever thinking I didn't need a man, I always wanted a man. It just screams insecurity to me, and it is really sad. They're the words of someone who doesn't feel strong enough to look after themselves, who isn't brave enough to just love themselves for who they are, who isn't confident enough to be alone or say, I am enough. She clearly is insecure. She doesn't have confidence. She lacks self-esteem. And I do pity that. I feel like on the one hand, if she's happy and content, that's great. But I do worry about what she'd do if she ever found herself alone. It makes me really sad. I hope she never has to deal with being alone, because I don't think she'd be able to cope with that. I think it would be too difficult for her. And for that, I really do genuinely pity her. She goes on to write, "Young women, feminism has sold you a load of lies." No, it hasn't. You're selling a load of lies by strawmanning feminism, Laurie. You don't understand the feminist perspective, clearly. Either that or you're just willfully twisting what it means, and, you know, like I say, you're strawmanning. Never use strawman so much in a video. She writes, "The best things in life are from the Lord. He created marriage, and he calls children a blessing and a gift from him. He created male and female. He made us the weaker vessel so we would need and want a man. In past generations, women and children wouldn't have been able to survive without men, and if something were to happen to all of the men today, we wouldn't survive for long either. They still do all the heavy lifting. They still do all the heavy lifting that keeps cultures running smoothly." And how long do you think society would function if all the women just disappeared? We'd be screwed, and not just because, you know, no more babies being born, but for all the amazing things that women do in society. I mean, just think about it. This isn't a like, we need men for this, we need women for this. No, it's not that. We need people. We need all kinds of people with all different kinds of skills for society to function. I mean, just think about it. We need both sexes to continue life, like human life, and we need all kinds of people with all kinds of skills and all kinds of backgrounds for society to still function. It's not a man or a woman thing, it's a people thing. And Laurie, you might see yourself as the weaker vessel, but I don't. I'm stronger than some people and I'm weaker than other people, both physically and emotionally. But I will not be told that I am weaker than 50% of the population just because I happen to be born with a vagina. I'm not. I will not sit here and be told that I need a man. I will not sit here and be told that I need to rely on any other single person to live. Because I don't. You know what I do need to live? I need people who can fulfill all the kind of skills that I don't have. I need farmers, I need builders, I need electricians and engineers and doctors and nurses and drivers and whatever. They're the people I need. But anyone with those skills can fulfill those roles. There's no role in my life where I specifically need a man. Just like a man who doesn't want to get married or have kids doesn't specifically need a woman for anything. So can we just stop with all this men are better than women crap, and women need men for this, and men need women for this, and your role is this because you have a vagina, and your role is this because you have a penis. Can we just stop with all of that stuff already, because it's kind of ridiculous? Can we just start realising that people are people and get over all the unnecessary competition already? Yes, men are going to be suited to some jobs and roles better than women, and some women are going to be suited to jobs and roles better than men. But that doesn't mean that all men do such and such a thing, and all women do such and such a thing, and all of these people are men, and all of these... It's just ridiculous, and it's tiring, and it's boring, and I, for one, don't need a man to look after me. I need men in life and in society. Everyone needs men. And I need women. But I don't need a man. I don't think anyone else does either. Anyway, a little bit of a rant there. Let me know what you thought of Laurie's blog post and her feminism has tricked people into thinking they don't need men narrative. No, I need to stop doing that voice. I don't know why it's coming out so much today. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sorry. If you like this video, please leave a comment below. Please subscribe if you want to see more content about atheism and sciencey stuff and social stuff and just lots of giggles and maybe some puppies from time to time. But for now, thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you guys so much and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much to everyone supporting me on Patreon this month, including Gambit and his chauffeur, Deshauwn, Liv's Pantyhose Addiction, Data Jack, Christian Berg, Rachel B. Royer, Jadeon Sheppard, Robert Korte, Peter Kyrouac, Sir Michael Moore, Christina the Atheist, Christian Opitz, Sage Villarreal, Greg Ladd and Loren Hart. You're all amazing.
So I don't have to go home, wasting my time listening to songs you wrote about some